Good evening, dear listeners. Welcome to a serene space where we can unwind and embark on a peaceful journey through time. Tonight, we invite you to settle in, let go of the day's worries, and prepare to drift into a comforting slumber. As you find your cozy position, allow the soothing sounds of my voice to guide you into a tranquil state, where history and relaxation intertwine seamlessly. Our exploration this evening will take us deep into the fascinating yet often overlooked world of Roman aqueducts and the meticulous protocols they employed for measuring water flow. You may wonder how such a seemingly mundane topic could lull you into a restful state. However, it is in the gentle cadence of history's stories and the intricate details of ancient engineering that we can find a soothing rhythm, perfect for relaxation. As we float through the annals of time, we will delve into the origins of these remarkable structures, built to carry life-sustaining water over vast distances. The Roman aqueducts stand as a testament to human ingenuity, stretching across valleys and mountains, whispering tales of their creators' dedication and precision. You will hear about the brilliant minds that devised methods to measure water flow, ensuring that each drop was accounted for, all while weaving through a landscape of ancient cities and bustling marketplaces. We will discuss the early tools and techniques employed by Roman engineers, highlighting their commitment to efficiency and sustainability. You might find it fascinating to learn about devices like the groma and chorobates, which were essential for surveying and ensuring the aqueducts maintained a gentle gradient. As we explore these innovations, you will notice how each method was crafted with care and an understanding of the natural world, creating a harmony that still resonates in our modern lives. Throughout our journey, we will also touch upon the challenges faced by the Romans in their quest for reliable water supply. From the ever-present concerns of drought to the engineering feats required to navigate uneven terrain, we will uncover how their meticulous measurements were not merely technicalities but vital components of daily life. With each challenge they overcame, the Romans laid the groundwork for future civilizations, reminding us of the importance of perseverance and ingenuity. As we traverse this historical landscape, allow yourself to let go of any tension. Picture the gentle flow of water as it travels through these grand aqueducts, the soft sounds of trickling streams calming your mind. Imagine the warm sun casting a golden glow over ancient stone, while the harmony of nature surrounds you. With every word, I hope to transport you to a place where time slows down, and the complexities of life fade away into peaceful oblivion. As we conclude our introduction, I invite you to take a deep breath. Inhale the serene essence of history and exhale any residual stress from your day. Allow yourself to become fully present in this moment, ready to embrace the tranquil narratives that lie ahead. Now, let us transition into our main content, where the whispers of the past will carry us through the fascinating and thoughtful exploration of the tedious history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols. Rest easy, dear listeners, for the journey has just begun. Close your eyes, and let the stories unwind like a gentle stream, guiding you toward a restful night's sleep. The history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols is a subject that, while seemingly esoteric, reveals significant insights into the administrative and engineering practices of ancient Rome. This account seeks to provide a comprehensive overview, tracing the timeline from the earliest recorded instances of aqueduct construction to the detailed protocols established for measuring water flow in the late Roman Empire. The origins of aqueduct construction in Rome can be traced back to the 4th century BCE, with the Aqua Appia, constructed in 312 BCE under the auspices of the censor Appius Claudius Caecus. This aqueduct spanned approximately 16.4 kilometers and primarily utilized underground channels, reflecting early Roman engineering ingenuity. The Aqua Appia set a precedent for the construction of subsequent aqueducts, but it was not until the late 3rd century BCE that more sophisticated measurement techniques began to emerge. By the time of the Aqua Marcia, completed in 144 BCE, the Romans began to recognize the necessity of quantifying water flow for both administrative and practical purposes. The Aqua Marcia, notable for its length of approximately 91 kilometers, brought high-quality water from the Anio River to Rome. It is during this period that we begin to see the first documented administrative procedures for measuring water flow. Historical records suggest the use of simple devices, such as the weir, which allowed engineers to estimate flow rates based on water height. The use of weirs and other rudimentary measuring devices continued into the 1st century BCE, evidenced by the construction of the Aqua Claudia and the Anio Novus. These aqueducts, commissioned by Emperor Claudius and completed in 52 CE, featured both elevated arches and underground conduits. The water supplied by these aqueducts was crucial for Rome's burgeoning population, necessitating more formalized protocols for measurement. It is reported that officials known as the curators aquarum, responsible for overseeing the aqueduct systems, began to compile records regarding both the volume of water delivered and the maintenance of the infrastructure. The administrative procedures for water flow measurement became increasingly codified with the establishment of the Lex Julia de Aqueductibus in 33 BCE, which mandated that all aqueducts must be maintained to ensure a consistent water supply. This legislation was pivotal in formalizing protocols for measuring and documenting water flow. Under this legal framework, the curators aquarum were tasked with regular inspections and measurements of the aqueduct systems, utilizing the aforementioned weirs and employing basic arithmetic to determine flow rates. The early 1st century CE saw further advancements in measurement techniques, as Roman engineers began to implement more complex hydraulic engineering principles. Vitruvius, a prominent architect and engineer active during the late 1st century BCE, documented various aspects of water management in his treatise, De Architectura. In Book 8, Vitruvius discusses the importance of measuring water flow in relation to the size and design of aqueducts. His recommendations encompass the use of calibrated measuring devices, including the cuniculi, which were small channels used to gauge water levels at specific points along the aqueduct. As the demand for water increased with Rome's expansion, it became paramount to maintain accurate records of water flow. By the 2nd century CE, the Roman Empire had established a more systematic approach to water flow measurement. During the reign of Emperor Trajan, who ruled from 98 to 117 CE, the administration implemented the use of standardized units of measurement for water flow. The modius, a measure of volume, was commonly used, and records indicate that flow rates were often expressed in terms of modii per day. In addition to volumetric measures, flow velocity began to be considered. The Romans established rudimentary methods for calculating flow velocity, which included the use of floating objects to determine speed. Historical sources indicate that sections of aqueducts were designated for velocity testing, where small wooden floats could be released, and the time taken to traverse a known distance could be recorded. This practice, though imprecise by modern standards, laid the groundwork for future hydraulic studies. During the subsequent centuries, particularly under the Antonine dynasty, 96 to 192 CE, the importance of accurate water flow measurement continued to grow. The curators aquarum were required to prepare detailed reports concerning the flow rates of various aqueducts, which were then submitted to the Senate for review. These reports often included information on seasonal variations in water flow, which were particularly pertinent during periods of drought or heavy rainfall. The architectural details of aqueducts also evolved during this period, with the introduction of larger conduits and more sophisticated construction techniques. The Aqua Triana, completed in 109 CE, exemplified these advancements. This aqueduct, which sourced water from Lake Bracciano, was approximately 65 kilometers long and included numerous bridges and tunnels, necessitating precise measurement techniques to manage flow effectively. It is documented that the curators utilized graduated measuring rods and leveling instruments to ensure the proper gradient was maintained throughout the aqueduct's length. Another notable figure from this period is Frontinus, appointed as the curator aquarum around 97 CE. In his work, De Aqueductu, Frontinus provided a detailed account of the aqueducts of Rome, including their construction, maintenance, and measurement protocols. He expounded upon the methods used to measure water flow, emphasizing the importance of maintaining accurate and reliable records. Frontinus criticized the inefficiencies in the system, advocating for more rigorous measurement protocols to prevent water theft and ensure equitable distribution. The late 2nd and early 3rd centuries CE brought about further refinements in measurement protocols, reflecting the empire's administrative complexities. Administrative routines were formalized with the introduction of annual inspections, where curators aquarum would assess the condition of aqueducts and measure their flow capacity. The results of these inspections were meticulously documented in official records, which included not only flow measurements but also notes on maintenance requirements and potential structural issues. The Codex Theodosianus, compiled in the early 5th century CE, provides insight into the legal framework surrounding aqueduct management and measurement protocols. It established penalties for mismanagement and outlined the responsibilities of curators aquarum, including the obligation to maintain accurate flow measurements. The administrative procedure mandated that all measurements be recorded in a standardized format, ensuring consistency across the various aqueducts serving the city. As the Western Roman Empire began to decline in the 5th century CE, the focus on aqueduct management and water flow measurement protocols diminished. However, the principles and practices established during the preceding centuries laid the foundation for future hydraulic engineering and water management systems in the Byzantine Empire and beyond. In conclusion, the history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols is characterized by a gradual evolution of techniques and administrative practices. From the rudimentary weirs of the Aqua Appia to the sophisticated measurements employed by Frontinus and his successors, the Romans demonstrated a remarkable understanding of hydraulic engineering. Their meticulous documentation and adherence to measurement protocols ensured the efficient management of Rome's vital water supply, an endeavor that would influence future civilizations in their pursuit of effective water management. The detailed examination of these practices reveals not only the technical prowess of Roman engineers but also the intricate administrative systems that supported one of the greatest empires in history. The construction of Roman aqueducts was a complex endeavor that involved meticulous planning, precise engineering, and a variety of construction methods and materials. The aqueducts, which transported water from distant sources to urban centers, were primarily built using stone, brick, and concrete. The Romans' advanced understanding of these materials allowed them to create structures that not only fulfilled their functional purpose but also endured through the centuries. Among the most prevalent construction methods was the use of the arch, which provided both strength and aesthetic appeal. The Romans utilized a specific ratio of height to span in their arches, typically adhering to a 1:3 ratio, thereby creating a curve that effectively distributed weight. The most famous example of this engineering technique can be seen in the Aqua Appia, completed in 312 BCE, which employed a combination of both underground and above-ground channels, integrating arches when necessary to traverse uneven terrain. In regards to the materials used, Roman builders opted for locally sourced stone whenever possible, such as travertine and tuff, which were readily available in regions like Latium and Campania. These materials were often quarried in blocks measuring approximately 1 meter by 0.5 meters, facilitating easier handling. When stone was not accessible, Roman engineers developed a form of hydraulic concrete, a mixture of lime mortar and volcanic ash, known as pozzolana. This material was particularly advantageous in underwater construction, as it could set and harden in the presence of water. The maintenance of aqueducts was equally important to ensure the continuous flow of water and the longevity of the structures. Regular inspections were mandated by the curators aquarum, the overseers of the aqueducts, who were responsible for the upkeep of these vital infrastructures. The first recorded maintenance protocol appears in the Lex Irnitana, dating back to the 1st century CE, which outlined specific intervals for inspections, typically every 6 months, and detailed procedures for addressing leaks, blockages, and structural integrity. For instance, if a section of an aqueduct was found to be suffering from water leakage, workers would be dispatched to assess the issue. This could involve excavating around the affected area, replacing damaged stones, and applying fresh mortar. In instances where vegetation obstructed the flow of water, laborers were required to clear the foliage, as plant roots could cause significant damage to the aqueduct structure over time. Financial records pertaining to the construction and maintenance of aqueducts provide a comprehensive view of the costs involved in these projects. The expenses were meticulously documented, often found in the extensive records kept by the Roman treasury. For example, the construction of the Aqua Marcia, completed in 144 BCE, reportedly cost approximately 180,000 denarii, a significant sum that included labor, materials, and logistics. The payment for laborers was standardized at about 1 denarius per day, with skilled workers such as stone masons earning up to 2 denarii. Additionally, the costs associated with maintenance were allocated within the annual budget of the curator's aquarum. The maintenance budget for the aqueduct system in 33 CE was estimated at around 20,000 denarii, which accounted for both regular upkeep and emergency repairs. The meticulous record-keeping of these transactions underscores the bureaucratic efficiency that characterized the Roman administration. The personnel involved in the construction and maintenance of aqueducts were diverse and specialized. The primary roles included the architect, or architectus, responsible for the overall design and engineering of the aqueduct, the surveyor, or agrimensors, who would measure land and ensure proper gradients, and the laborers, who executed the physical work. The roles of these individuals were well defined, with the architect often overseeing multiple projects simultaneously. In addition to these primary roles, there were also ancillary positions such as the marmorarius, who specialized in working with marble, and the fabrica, who managed the production of bricks and other materials. The hierarchy within the workforce was strictly adhered to, with the architect earning a substantial salary of approximately 10,000 denarii per annum, compared to the laborers who earned a mere fraction of that amount. Technical specifications of the aqueducts themselves were a testament to Roman engineering excellence. The average gradient for an aqueduct was approximately 1:480, allowing for a gradual descent that facilitated water flow without causing erosion. Some aqueducts, such as the Aqua Claudia, which spanned over 68 kilometers, maintained this gradient over long distances, showcasing the Romans' understanding of hydraulics. The dimensions of the aqueduct channels varied, but they generally ranged from 0.8 to 1.5 meters in width and 1.5 to 2 meters in height. The channels were often lined with a mixture of hydraulic mortar and ceramic tiles to minimize leakage and ensure smooth water flow. Furthermore, the use of settling tanks, or castella, at regular intervals allowed for sedimentation, ensuring that the water delivered was as clean as possible. The construction of aqueducts also necessitated the establishment of various structures along the route, including bridges and tunnels. The Pont du Gard in France, for example, is an iconic structure that exemplifies Roman engineering, standing at a height of 49 meters with 3 tiers of arches. Built in the 1st century CE, it carried the water of the Nîmes aqueduct over the Gardon River and is a prime example of the aesthetic considerations that accompanied functional design. Following construction, the ongoing maintenance procedures were crucial for sustaining the aqueduct's functionality. The curators aquarum were responsible for ensuring that maintenance crews adhered to established protocols. Such crews typically included a foreman, or prefectus, who oversaw daily operations, and several laborers tasked with specific duties, such as masonry repair or channel cleaning. Records from the 2nd century CE indicate that maintenance crews would often be divided into teams, each assigned to a designated section of the aqueduct. Each team was required to report bi-weekly on their activities, including the completion of repairs, materials used, and any issues encountered. This practice not only ensured accountability but also provided valuable data for future maintenance planning. In addition to routine maintenance, financial records indicate that significant repairs often required the allocation of emergency funds. For instance, in 33 CE, a catastrophic collapse of a section of the Aqua Marcia necessitated an immediate expenditure of 5,000 denarii for emergency repairs. Such expenditure was not uncommon, as natural disasters, such as floods or earthquakes, could severely impact the structural integrity of the aqueducts. The administrative framework that supported these operations was as intricate as the aqueducts themselves. The curators aquarum were appointed by the Senate and reported directly to local magistrates who oversaw water distribution. This hierarchical structure ensured that all aspects of aqueduct management, from construction to maintenance, were coordinated efficiently. The meticulous nature of Roman record-keeping meant that every decision was documented, creating a comprehensive archive of the operational history of aqueducts. The technical specifications, construction methods, maintenance protocols, and financial allocations associated with Roman aqueducts illustrate the remarkable engineering capabilities of the Romans. Their ability to harness and manage water resources effectively not only contributed to the empire's success but also laid the groundwork for modern hydraulic engineering. The legacy of these practices continues to be studied and admired, reflecting a civilization that, despite its many complexities, understood the fundamental importance of water management in sustaining urban life. The construction methods and materials utilized in the Roman aqueducts were integral to their functionality and longevity. The Romans employed a variety of techniques for the construction of these water conduits, with a focus on durability and efficiency. The primary materials used in the aqueducts included stone, brick, and concrete, with each material serving a specific purpose based on the structural requirements of the aqueduct system. The earliest aqueducts, such as the Aqua Appia, constructed in 312 BCE, primarily utilized local limestone and tuff. These materials were readily available and provided sufficient strength for the underground sections of the aqueduct. The use of opus cementitium, or Roman concrete, became increasingly prevalent after the late Republic, around 100 BCE, due to its superior structural properties and versatility. Roman concrete, made from a mixture of volcanic ash, lime, and water, was particularly effective in resisting the erosive effects of water flow. The construction of aqueducts often involved extensive excavation and the creation of supporting structures. For instance, the Pont du Gard in France, built in the 1st century CE, stands as a testament to the Romans' engineering prowess. This aqueduct bridge, measuring 49 meters in height and spanning 275 meters in length, utilized precisely cut limestone blocks, which were carefully assembled without the use of mortar, relying on the weight of the stones to maintain structural integrity. Maintenance procedures for Roman aqueducts were critical to ensuring their continued operation and efficiency. Regular inspections were mandated, with specific personnel designated for the task. The role of the curator aquarum, or water commissioner, emerged as a vital position within the aqueduct management system. These officials were responsible for overseeing the maintenance of water supply and distribution, often conducting inspections to identify leaks or blockages. One notable maintenance protocol involved the periodic cleaning of sediment that accumulated in the aqueduct channels. This process, referred to as cleaning the conduits, typically occurred annually, with records indicating that the cleaning of the Aqua Marcia, for example, was conducted in 144 BCE. The removal of debris was essential, as sediment buildup could significantly reduce water flow, affecting the overall effectiveness of the aqueduct system. Laborers, known as aqueductories, were often employed in these maintenance activities, using simple tools such as spades and brushes. Financial records and costs associated with aqueduct construction and maintenance provide insight into the economic framework that supported these expansive projects. Detailed accounts were meticulously kept, often inscribed on bronze tablets or included in public records. For instance, the total cost of constructing the Aqua Claudia, which began in 38 BCE and was completed in 52 CE, amounted to approximately 180 million sesterces. This figure included expenditures on materials, labor, and transportation. The financing of aqueducts often involved a combination of public funds and private investments. Wealthy citizens sometimes sponsored aqueduct projects, seeking to enhance their social standing within the community. The financial records from the time indicate that expenditures could reach as high as 3,000 sesterces per kilometer for the more elaborate sections of aqueducts, particularly those requiring extensive engineering efforts, such as bridges and tunnels. Personnel and job descriptions associated with aqueduct management reveal the organized structure of labor that facilitated these monumental projects. A hierarchy existed within the workforce, with roles ranging from the highly skilled engineers and architects who designed the aqueducts to the laborers who executed the construction work. The architectus aquarum, or water architect, was responsible for the overall design and engineering of the aqueduct. This position required a thorough understanding of hydraulics, as well as knowledge of local geology, to ensure that the aqueduct could effectively transport water from its source to its destination. Supporting the architect were teams of skilled laborers, including masons, who specialized in stonework, and carpenters, who crafted wooden scaffolding and support structures. In addition to construction roles, the aqueduct system necessitated personnel for ongoing operations. The viators, or water monitors, were tasked with overseeing the daily flow of water through the aqueduct. Their duties included monitoring water quality, ensuring adequate supply to public fountains and baths, and maintaining accurate records of water distribution. These monitors played a crucial role in the management of urban water resources, which were essential for public health and sanitation. Technical specifications of the aqueduct systems were governed by stringent standards that ensured their efficiency and reliability. The gradient of the aqueducts, for instance, was meticulously calculated to maintain a consistent flow of water. A typical gradient for Roman aqueducts ranged between 1:4800 to 1:2000, depending on the topography of the terrain. This gradient allowed for a steady flow without causing excessive erosion of the aqueduct beds. The dimensions of the aqueduct channels varied widely, with smaller aqueducts, such as the Aqua Annio Vetus, featuring channels approximately 0.6 meters wide, while larger systems, like the Aqua Claudia, boasted channels up to 1.2 meters in width. The depth of these channels was equally variable, typically ranging from 0.5 meters to 1 meter. These specifications were crucial for managing the volume of water transported, as well as ensuring that the flow rate met the demands of the urban populace. The construction of distribution points, or castella, also followed specific technical guidelines. These distribution points featured settling basins, which collected water from the aqueduct and allowed sediment to settle before water was channeled to public fountains and baths. The design of these castella often included multiple outlets to distribute water to various locations, ensuring that urban centers received sufficient supply. In summary, the history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols encompasses a wide array of construction methods, maintenance procedures, financial records, personnel roles, and technical specifications. Each element played a critical role in the overall management of water resources within Roman society. The meticulous attention to detail in both construction and ongoing management reflects a culture that recognized the essential nature of water in sustaining urban life. The legacy of these sophisticated systems continues to influence modern engineering practices and remains a subject of academic interest and admiration. The construction methods and materials utilized in the Roman aqueducts were integral to their functionality and longevity. The Romans employed a variety of techniques for the construction of these water conduits, with a focus on durability and efficiency. The primary materials used in the aqueducts included stone, brick, and concrete, with each material serving a specific purpose based on the structural requirements of the aqueduct system. The earliest aqueducts, such as the Aqua Appia, constructed in 312 BCE, represented a significant advancement in urban engineering. This aqueduct stretched approximately 16.5 kilometers, around 10.3 miles, and primarily utilized a combination of stone and brick to create a robust structure. The Aqua Appia was mostly underground, which protected it from potential damage and allowed the Romans to maintain a consistent gradient for the flow of water. The gradient was meticulously calculated. For every 1,000 meters, there was a drop of about 1.5 meters, ensuring a steady flow of water into the city of Rome. As Roman engineering evolved, so did the complexity of their aqueduct systems. The Aqua Claudia, completed in 52 CE, is a prime example of advanced construction techniques. This aqueduct was renowned for its impressive arches and bridges, which spanned valleys and low-lying areas. The construction of the Aqua Claudia involved the use of large blocks of tuff, a volcanic stone that provided both strength and durability. The aqueduct was about 68 kilometers, 42 miles, long and featured a gradient of approximately 1:4800, which was carefully calculated to maintain a reliable water supply without creating excessive pressure that could damage the structure. The use of concrete, particularly pozzolana, a volcanic ash that hardens when mixed with water, revolutionized Roman aqueduct construction. Famous for its strength and resistance to water, this material allowed engineers to create arches and vaults that were not only functional but aesthetically pleasing. The Pont du Gard in France, built around 19 BCE, is a stunning example of Roman engineering prowess. This aqueduct bridge stands 49 meters, 160 feet, tall and spans a river valley, demonstrating the Romans' ability to integrate functionality with monumental architecture. The Pont du Gard consists of 3 tiers of arches, totaling 35 arches, and was designed to carry water over a distance of 50 kilometers, 31 miles, from its source in the Ur River. To ensure the proper flow of water, Roman engineers employed a variety of surveying techniques, including the use of leveling instruments known as chorobates. This tool allowed them to maintain precise gradients over long distances, ensuring that water could flow from the source to the destination without interruption. They also utilized a method called cut and fill, where they would excavate soil in higher areas and use it to fill in lower areas, thus maintaining the necessary slope. In addition to the construction methods, the Romans also implemented sophisticated maintenance strategies to ensure the longevity of their aqueducts. Regular inspections were conducted, and dedicated teams known as aquarii were responsible for the upkeep of the water supply system. They would clear debris, repair leaks, and ensure that the water quality remained high. The importance of clean water was recognized as a public health necessity, leading to the establishment of public fountains and baths throughout Rome, which were supplied by these aqueducts. Historically, the ability to transport water efficiently and reliably had far-reaching implications for the growth of cities and the expansion of the Roman Empire. The aqueducts not only provided essential water for drinking and sanitation but also supported agriculture and industry. For example, the water from the Aqua Marcia, completed in 144 BCE, was particularly prized for its purity and was used to supply public baths and fountains, enhancing the quality of life for the citizens. The decline of the Roman Empire in the 5th century CE saw the deterioration of many of these aqueduct systems due to a lack of maintenance, political instability, and economic downturn. However, the legacy of Roman aqueducts can still be observed in modern engineering. Many contemporary water supply systems have drawn inspiration from the principles established by Roman engineers, including the use of gravity-fed systems and durable materials. In summary, the construction of Roman aqueducts was not only a feat of engineering but also a reflection of the civilization's understanding of hydraulics, architecture, and urban planning. The methods and materials they employed laid the groundwork for modern infrastructure, showcasing the Romans' remarkable ability to blend functionality with grandeur. The meticulous attention to detail in their design and construction ensured that these aqueducts not only met the immediate needs of their time but also stood the test of time, influencing generations to come. The construction of Roman aqueducts involved meticulous planning and execution, employing a range of materials and techniques that underscored the engineering prowess of the era. The primary materials utilized in aqueduct construction included stone, concrete, and mortar, each chosen for its availability and durability. The Romans were particularly adept at using a form of volcanic ash called pozzolana, which, when mixed with lime and water, created a strong hydraulic cement that would set even underwater. This innovation dates back to around 300 BCE and became a cornerstone of Roman engineering. The construction methods employed varied significantly depending on the terrain and the specific requirements of each aqueduct. For instance, in flat regions, such as those near Rome, aqueducts often consisted of long, straight channels that utilized gravity to facilitate water flow. The aqueduct of Aqua Appia, completed in 312 BCE, exemplified this approach by incorporating a subterranean channel over a distance of approximately 16.5 kilometers. Conversely, in hilly regions, the Romans constructed arched bridges, known as arcades, to maintain a consistent gradient for the water flow. The Aqua Claudia, completed in 52 CE, featured a series of impressive arches that rose to heights of approximately 28 meters, showcasing both aesthetic and functional considerations. Maintenance of aqueducts was a critical aspect of their longevity and efficiency. The Romans established a dedicated workforce responsible for regular inspections and repairs. This workforce, known as the Aquarii, was responsible for monitoring the flow of water and ensuring that any blockages or structural damages were promptly addressed. The maintenance procedures included periodic cleaning of the channels, which often accumulated sediment and debris, thereby impeding water flow. Historical records indicate that such maintenance was conducted at least once every 5 years, with specific dates often noted in municipal documents. The financial aspects of aqueduct construction and maintenance were meticulously documented in several official records, known as tabulae. These records included detailed accounts of expenditures, labor costs, and material procurement. For example, the construction of the Aqua Marcia, initiated in 144 BCE, reportedly cost approximately 2 million sesterces, a sum equivalent to the annual salary of 200 laborers. The costs were carefully itemized, with stone procurement from local quarries, labor wages, and transportation fees distinctly recorded. The prevalence of corruption and mismanagement in financial dealings was a concern, prompting the establishment of oversight committees to ensure accountability in aqueduct projects. Personnel involved in aqueduct construction and maintenance were organized into specific roles, each with defined responsibilities. The chief engineer, known as the Architectus Aquarum, oversaw the entire project, ensuring adherence to technical specifications and timelines. This position was often held by individuals with significant experience in civil engineering, and they were expected to possess knowledge of hydrology, geology, and construction techniques. Supporting the Architectus Aquarum were various specialists, including surveyors tasked with measuring gradients and alignments, and laborers responsible for the physical construction and maintenance work. Additionally, the role of the aqueductus was crucial. These individuals were responsible for the actual management of water distribution once the aqueducts were operational. They worked closely with municipal officials to regulate water flow, ensuring that various neighborhoods received adequate supplies. Their duties included monitoring the water levels at key junctions and adjusting flow rates through a series of gates and sluices. The technical specifications of Roman aqueducts were dictated by a combination of hydrological principles and construction techniques. The gradients of aqueducts were typically designed to maintain a slope of approximately 1:4800, allowing for a steady flow of water without causing turbulence or erosion within the channel. This precise measurement ensured that water traveled at an optimal speed, reducing the risk of sediment deposition while maintaining a consistent supply for urban areas. In terms of dimensions, the channel width varied depending on the volume of water required for a given population. For instance, the Aqua Annio Vetus, completed in 272 BCE, had a channel width of approximately 1 meter, sufficient to deliver water to the growing population of Rome. The depth of the channel was also carefully calculated, generally ranging from 0.5 to 1 meter, to accommodate fluctuations in water levels due to seasonal rains or droughts. The use of aqueducts extended beyond mere transportation of water. They also played a significant role in public health and sanitation. The Romans recognized the importance of clean water for drinking and bathing, leading to the construction of public fountains and baths strategically located throughout cities. This integration of aqueducts into urban planning further illustrated the Romans' understanding of hydraulic engineering and its impact on society. The introduction of lead pipes, known as fistulae, during the late Republic period allowed for more efficient distribution of water from the aqueducts to individual households. These pipes, which ranged from 2 to 10 centimeters in diameter, were often lined with a thin layer of tin to reduce the leaching of lead into the water supply. The use of lead, while effective, has since been criticized for its health implications, yet it was widely adopted during the Roman era due to its malleability and resistance to corrosion. The construction of aqueducts also required careful consideration of environmental factors, including the potential impact on local ecosystems. The Romans were known to divert rivers and streams to create artificial channels, leading to both positive and negative consequences for surrounding flora and fauna. While some regions benefited from increased water availability, others experienced disruptions to natural watercourses, leading to ecological imbalances. Despite the impressive engineering feats achieved by the Romans, the aqueducts were not without their challenges. Seasonal changes, particularly during periods of heavy rainfall, could lead to flooding within the channels, necessitating the implementation of overflow systems. These systems included spillways and drainage channels designed to redirect excess water and prevent damage to the aqueduct structure. In conclusion, the history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols is a testament to the advanced engineering practices and administrative organization of the time. The construction methods and materials employed, along with the established maintenance procedures, financial records, personnel roles, and technical specifications, all contributed to the success and longevity of these remarkable structures. The legacy of Roman aqueducts continues to influence modern engineering and urban infrastructure, serving as a reminder of the importance of water management in the development of civilization. The construction of Roman aqueducts involved meticulous planning and execution, employing a range of materials and techniques that underscored the engineering prowess of the era. The primary materials utilized in aqueduct construction included stone, concrete, and mortar, each chosen for its availability and durability. The Romans were particularly adept at using a form of volcanic ash called pozzolana, which, when mixed with lime and water, created a strong hydraulic cement that would set even underwater. This innovative use of pozzolana began around 27 BCE, during the reign of Emperor Augustus, and played a pivotal role in the construction of some of the most enduring structures of the Roman Empire. One of the most notable examples of Roman engineering is the Aqua Appia, initiated in 312 BCE by the censor Appius Claudius Caecus. The Aqua Appia was the first Roman aqueduct and was primarily underground for its entire length of approximately 16.4 kilometers, over 10 miles. The use of underground tunnels not only protected the aqueduct from vandalism and pollution but also utilized the natural slope of the land to maintain a consistent flow rate of water. The construction involved digging trenches and using wooden scaffolding to support the workers as they built the arched structures that would support the aqueduct above ground when necessary. The engineering practices of the Romans are further exemplified in the construction of the Aqua Marcia, completed in 144 BCE. This aqueduct stretched about 91 kilometers, over 56 miles, and was renowned for its pure water sourced from springs in the Anio Valley, located east of Rome. The Aqua Marcia required sophisticated surveying techniques to maintain an appropriate gradient over such a long distance, with a slight incline of only 1:4800, which enabled a steady flow of water to the city. The aqueduct included both underground and above-ground sections, with arches that reached heights of up to 28 meters, approximately 92 feet, in certain areas, showcasing the Romans' architectural mastery. In terms of measurements, the construction of aqueducts involved precise calculations of gradient and flow rate. Roman engineers utilized tools such as the chorobates, a leveling instrument used to ensure that the aqueduct maintained a consistent slope. This attention to detail was essential, as even a slight deviation could lead to serious issues with water flow. The Romans also constructed settling tanks along aqueducts to allow sediment to settle before the water entered the distribution system, ensuring that the water delivered to the city was clean and usable. The aqueducts employed various techniques to overcome geographical challenges. For instance, the Pont du Gard in southern France, built around 19 BCE, is an extraordinary example of an aqueduct bridge that spans the Gardon River. This three-tiered structure stands nearly 50 meters, approximately 164 feet, high and demonstrates the Romans' ability to create monumental works that blended functionality with aesthetics. The precision of the stone blocks, which were cut to fit tightly without the use of mortar, speaks to the advanced techniques of Roman masons. Historically, the construction of aqueducts also reflects the expansion of the Roman Empire and its increasing urbanization. As cities grew, so did the demand for fresh water. By the 3rd century CE, Rome alone had 11 aqueducts supplying water to the population, which had swelled to over 1 million inhabitants. This urban infrastructure not only improved public health by providing clean drinking water but also supported the development of public baths, fountains, and even private households, fundamentally transforming Roman society. The legacy of Roman aqueducts is seen in their influence on modern engineering. The principles of gravity flow, the use of arches, and the incorporation of durable materials have left an indelible mark on contemporary water supply systems. Many aqueducts remain in use today, a testament to the skill and foresight of Roman engineers who laid the foundations for modern water management. The study of these ancient structures continues to inspire engineers and historians alike, as they reflect an era where innovation and practicality coalesce to solve the challenges of urban living. The construction methods employed for Roman aqueducts were characterized by a remarkable blend of ingenuity and practicality, utilizing locally sourced materials and labor to create structures that have withstood the test of time. The Romans primarily utilized stone, brick, and concrete, with concrete becoming the predominant material following its invention in the 3rd century BCE. The use of pozzolana, a volcanic ash that, when mixed with lime, created a hydraulic concrete, greatly enhanced the durability and longevity of aqueducts. The construction process typically began with site selection, which required a comprehensive understanding of the topography and hydrology of the area. Engineers, known as aquarii, were tasked with surveying the landscape to determine the most efficient route for the aqueduct. This often involved significant elevation changes, necessitating the use of gradients of 1:480, or approximately 0.21%, to ensure a consistent flow of water. The precise gradient was crucial. Too steep would allow for erosion, while too shallow would impede water flow. Once the route was determined, construction commenced with the excavation of trenches, which could be several meters deep and wide. The Romans employed simple tools such as picks and shovels, and laborers, often recruited from local communities, were essential to this phase. The construction of arches, particularly in elevated sections where the aqueduct spanned valleys, required expert masonry skills. The use of the arch allowed for significant spans with a reduced amount of material, demonstrating an advanced understanding of structural engineering. The maintenance of aqueducts was a continuous necessity, as the structures were subject to wear from both environmental factors and the water itself. Regular inspections were mandated, typically occurring at least once every 5 years. Maintenance crews, composed of skilled workers known as operarii, were responsible for clearing blockages, repairing leaks, and ensuring the integrity of the water channels. The maintenance procedures included the cleaning of settling basins, which were designed to filter out sediment and debris. These basins, often constructed of stone or concrete, required manual labor to remove accumulated material. Financial records from the Roman Empire provide insight into the costs associated with the construction and maintenance of aqueducts. The Aqua Appia, one of the earliest aqueducts completed in 312 BCE, reportedly cost around 1 million sesterces, a significant sum at the time. Subsequent aqueducts, such as the Aqua Marcia completed in 144 BCE, incurred costs exceeding 2 million sesterces due to its length of 91 kilometers and the complexity of its engineering. Financial records indicate that the funding for these projects often came from public funds allocated by the Senate, as well as from private donations, which was a common practice in ancient Rome. Personnel involved in the aqueduct operations were categorized into specific roles, each with distinct responsibilities. The curator aquarum, or water commissioner, was a high-ranking official responsible for overseeing the entire aqueduct system within a designated region. Under the curator were various subordinates, including surveyors, engineers, and labor supervisors. The aquarii, as mentioned earlier, were instrumental in the surveying and design phases, while the operarii focused on hands-on construction and maintenance tasks. Technical specifications of Roman aqueducts reveal a sophisticated understanding of hydraulics and engineering principles. The average width of a water channel was approximately 0.5 meters, with a depth varying between 0.3 to 1 meter, depending on the volume of water required. The channels were often lined with a mixture of mortar and pozzolana to reduce leakage. The slope of the aqueduct was meticulously calculated to maintain a steady flow rate, which could range from 1 liter per second in smaller systems to over 300 liters per second in larger aqueducts. The water flow measurement protocols established by the Romans were essential in managing the distribution of water to urban centers. Flow rates were typically calculated using simple open-channel flow equations, which took into account the cross-sectional area of the channel and the velocity of water. The Romans utilized a variety of measuring devices, including the cursus aquarum, a system of graduated stakes placed along the aqueduct to indicate water levels. In addition to these practical measures, the Romans implemented legal structures to govern the use and distribution of water. Water rights were strictly regulated, with laws such as the Lex Julia Aquaria dictating the allocation of water resources. Violations of these laws could result in severe penalties, including fines or even imprisonment. Consequently, accurate measurement of water flow became not only a matter of engineering but also of legal compliance. The study of aqueducts extends beyond their engineering and construction. It also encompasses the cultural implications of these monumental structures. The presence of an aqueduct often symbolized the power and sophistication of a city, serving as a source of pride and identity for its inhabitants. Public fountains, supplied by aqueducts, became central gathering places in Roman cities, highlighting the social aspect of water distribution. In conclusion, the history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols is a testament to the complexity and sophistication of ancient engineering practices. The methods of construction, the materials used, the financial implications, the roles of personnel involved, and the technical specifications all contribute to a comprehensive understanding of how the Romans managed their vital water resources. The legacy of these aqueducts continues to influence modern engineering practices and urban planning, underscoring the significance of water management in the development of civilization. Despite the monotonous nature of this account, the intricate details of Roman aqueducts serve as a reminder of the ingenuity of ancient societies in overcoming the challenges of their environment. The meticulous planning, execution, and maintenance of these structures reflect a profound understanding of hydraulics and an unwavering commitment to public utility, ensuring that the flow of water continued to sustain urban life for centuries. The protocols established for measuring and managing water flow were not merely technical, but a crucial aspect of governance and societal organization in the Roman Empire. The construction methods employed for Roman aqueducts were characterized by a remarkable blend of ingenuity and practicality, utilizing locally sourced materials and labor to create structures that have withstood the test of time. The Romans primarily utilized stone, brick, and concrete, with concrete becoming the predominant material following its invention in the 3rd century BCE. The use of pozzolana, a volcanic ash that, when mixed with lime, created a hydraulic concrete, greatly enhanced the durability of the structures, allowing them to withstand the rigors of time and nature. The first known aqueduct, the Aqua Appia, was constructed in 312 BCE by the Roman censor Appius Claudius Caecus. This aqueduct spanned approximately 16.4 kilometers, 10.2 miles, and delivered water from springs near the Anio River to the city of Rome. It was primarily an underground structure, showcasing the Roman ability to adapt their construction methods to the landscape. The Aqua Appia set a precedent for subsequent aqueducts, emphasizing the importance of gravity in water transportation and the necessity of maintaining a gentle slope over long distances to facilitate flow. By the late 1st century BCE, Roman engineers had honed their skills further, leading to the construction of monumental aqueducts such as the Aqua Marcia, completed in 144 BCE. The Aqua Marcia was notable for its length of over 91 kilometers, 56 miles, and for the high-quality water it supplied, drawn from springs in the Anio Valley. This aqueduct included a mix of underground tunnels and elevated sections, with its most impressive feature being the Arches of Marcia, which stands 30 meters, 98 feet, tall at its highest point. The use of arches not only provided structural stability but also allowed the aqueduct to traverse valleys and uneven terrain, a hallmark of Roman engineering. The construction of these aqueducts involved a systematic approach. Engineers would first conduct thorough surveys of the terrain, often employing tools such as the groma, a surveying instrument that allowed for precise measurements of angles and distances. Once the route was determined, workers would excavate trenches for underground sections and construct stone or brick masonry for above-ground portions. The Roman labor force was primarily composed of skilled artisans, laborers, and slaves, reflecting a societal structure that prioritized public works as a means of demonstrating power and civic pride. An exemplary case study of Roman aqueduct engineering is the Pont du Gard in France, which was built around 19 BCE to carry water from the Eure River to the city of Nîmes. This remarkable structure stands at 48.8 meters, 160 feet, tall and is composed of 3 tiers of arches, with the highest tier featuring 35 arches. The total length of the aqueduct is approximately 275 meters, 902 feet. The precision in the construction is evident, as the aqueduct maintains a gradient of just 0.4%, allowing for a consistent flow of water over its entire length. The Pont du Gard exemplifies the Romans' ability to create not only functional structures but also aesthetically pleasing ones, blending utility with artistry. The materials used in aqueduct construction were locally sourced and varied by region. In central Italy, builders often used travertine, a form of limestone that was abundant in the area. In contrast, regions like Gaul relied on local granite for their aqueducts. The use of pozzolana was revolutionary, particularly for structures that required a strong bond, such as the arches and supports. The hydration process of pozzolana-based concrete was enhanced by exposure to water, making it particularly suited for underwater applications, such as when constructing bridges and piers. Roman aqueducts also included various features designed to ensure the reliable delivery of water. Settling tanks were constructed to filter impurities from the water before it entered the aqueduct system, while inspection shafts allowed workers to monitor and maintain the flow. Additionally, numerous bridges and siphons were employed to navigate physical obstacles. For instance, the Aqua Claudia, completed in 52 CE, was known for its extensive use of siphons, which allowed the aqueduct to move water from one elevation to another, ensuring a steady supply to Rome. Historically, the significance of aqueducts cannot be overstated. They were instrumental in supporting the growth of cities, facilitating public health through improved water supply and sanitation, and enabling agricultural expansion. By the 3rd century CE, Rome was served by 11 aqueducts, supplying over 1 million cubic meters, about 264 million gallons, of water daily to a population that had swelled to over 1 million inhabitants. This extensive network not only provided drinking water but also supported public baths, fountains, and even private homes, illustrating the Roman commitment to urban infrastructure. In conclusion, the construction methods of Roman aqueducts are a testament to the ingenuity and practicality of Roman engineering. From the Aqua Appia to the Pont du Gard, these structures reflect a deep understanding of materials, topography, and the needs of urban populations. The legacy of Roman aqueducts continues to influence modern engineering and urban planning, showcasing the enduring impact of these ancient innovations. The tedious history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols continues, delving into the intricate tapestry of regional variations and comparisons, the evolution of measurement practices over distinct time periods, bureaucratic regulations and laws that govern these practices, the supply chain and logistics involved in water distribution, and the meticulous record-keeping methods adopted by the Roman authorities. Regional variations and comparisons. The Roman Empire, vast and diverse, boasted an array of regional variations in its aqueduct water flow measurement protocols. These differences were often shaped by geographical features, local climates, and cultural practices. Aqueducts in the arid regions of North Africa, for example, necessitated a more precise approach to water measurement due to the scarcity of this vital resource. In contrast, the aqueducts serving the lush valleys of the Italian peninsula operated under different constraints, where abundance allowed for more lenient measures. In the provinces of Hispania, the aqueducts exhibited a distinctive characteristic. They often utilized a series of settling basins designed to improve water quality before it reached the populace. The measurement of flow in these aqueducts was therefore complicated by the need to account for sedimentation processes. Engineers employed rudimentary flow gauges, often constructed from local materials, to assess the rate of water conveyance, which differed markedly from the more standardized methods adopted in the heart of Rome. Furthermore, the varying elevations across regions necessitated diverse techniques for measuring water flow. In regions with steep gradients, such as the mountainous areas of Gaul, the hydraulic principles of flow measurement had to accommodate the rapid descent of water, which could lead to turbulence and inaccuracies in flow readings. Conversely, in flatter regions such as the plains of the Po River, a more stable and gradual flow allowed for simpler measurement techniques, often relying on open-channel flow measurement and the use of weirs. The Romans also exhibited a penchant for modifying existing Greek techniques, integrating them into their own measurement protocols. The Greeks had developed the use of the bore, or cylindrical measuring device, but the Romans adapted this into a more sophisticated water clock, or clepsydra, which allowed for continuous monitoring of water flow rates. The variations in these devices across regions often reflected local craftsmanship and technological capabilities, leading to a fascinating array of measurement instruments. Evolution over different time periods. As the Roman Empire transitioned from the Republic to the Imperial period, the protocols for measuring water flow in aqueducts underwent significant evolution. During the early Republic, measurement techniques remained rudimentary, often relying on basic observations and manual calculations. Engineers would estimate flow based on the size of the conduit and the gradient of the aqueduct, leading to a reliance on conjecture rather than empirical data. However, the engineering advancements of the late Republic ushered in a more systematic approach to water flow measurement. The construction of monumental aqueducts such as the Aqua Appia and Aqua Marcia necessitated the development of more precise measuring instruments. By the time of Augustus, the use of standardized measurements became more prevalent, influenced by the growing bureaucratic needs of the empire. The introduction of the thmodius, a unit of measurement for volume, helped create a common language for discussing water allocation. As the empire expanded, the increasingly diverse needs of its provinces led to further refinements in measurement protocols. The 2nd century CE saw an emphasis on hydraulic engineering and the establishment of specialized guilds of engineers and surveyors, known as agrimensors. These professionals were tasked with conducting meticulous surveys to determine the most efficient flow rates, taking into account seasonal variations and the intended use of water, be it for public baths, fountains, or agricultural irrigation. The late empire witnessed a regression in the sophistication of water flow measurement as resources became scarce and administrative oversight weakened. The once mighty aqueducts fell into disrepair, and the local authorities often lacked the expertise to maintain accurate measurement practices. This decline in standards led to widespread inefficiencies in water distribution, reflecting the broader socio-political turmoil of the period. Bureaucratic regulations and laws. The Roman approach to water management was heavily influenced by a complex web of bureaucratic regulations and laws. The Lex Julia de Aqueductibus, enacted in the late 1st century BCE, established foundational guidelines for the construction and maintenance of aqueducts. It outlined the responsibilities of local magistrates, engineers, and aqueduct operators, emphasizing the need for accurate measurement and reporting of water flow. Failure to comply with these regulations could result in severe penalties, including fines or the confiscation of property. In addition to the Lex Julia, the Edictum de Aqueductibus, issued during the reign of Emperor Trajan, further codified the standards for water flow measurement. This edict mandated the use of standardized measuring devices across the empire, facilitating consistency and reducing discrepancies in water allocation. Local authorities were required to submit regular reports detailing water flow rates, which were then aggregated at the provincial level for review by the central administration. The bureaucratic oversight of water resources extended to the establishment of a dedicated office known as the Curators Aquarum. These officials were responsible for monitoring water quality and flow rates, ensuring that the aqueducts remained in good repair. The curators operated under strict guidelines, often employing teams of surveyors to conduct regular inspections of the aqueducts. These inspections included the calibration of measuring devices, an essential practice to maintain the accuracy of flow measurements. However, the bureaucratic landscape was not without its challenges. Corruption and mismanagement often plagued local administrations, leading to discrepancies in reported water flow rates. Instances of falsification of records were not uncommon, as local magistrates sought to divert water for personal gain or to appease influential landowners. The central authorities struggled to maintain oversight, resulting in a patchwork of enforcement that varied significantly across regions. Supply chain and logistics. The logistics of transporting water through aqueduct systems were inherently complex, necessitating a coordinated effort between various stakeholders. The supply chain began with the sourcing of water, often from distant springs or rivers, requiring accurate surveying to establish the most efficient routes for aqueduct construction. Engineers had to consider the terrain, potential obstacles, and the need for elevation changes to facilitate gravity-fed flow. Once the water reached the aqueducts, the next challenge was distribution. The Romans employed a network of reservoirs, cisterns, and distribution tanks to manage water flow. The measurement of water flow at these junctures was critical, as it allowed for the equitable distribution of water to various sectors of society, including public baths, fountains, and agricultural fields. Local water distribution was often managed by a system of water masters, officials responsible for overseeing the allocation of water resources. These individuals were tasked with monitoring flow rates, ensuring compliance with local regulations, and resolving disputes over water rights. They relied heavily on the measurement protocols established by the central authorities, but local adaptations were common, leading to variations in practices. At times, the supply chain was disrupted by maintenance issues, such as leaks or blockages within the aqueducts. The process of identifying and repairing these issues required extensive record keeping, as engineers needed to track flow rates before and after repairs to assess the effectiveness of their interventions. The interconnectedness of the aqueduct systems meant that disruptions could have far-reaching consequences, affecting water availability across multiple regions. Record-keeping methods. Accurate record-keeping was paramount to the effective management of Roman aqueducts. The Romans developed a variety of methods for documenting water flow measurements, often employing tablets made of wax or clay for temporary records. These tablets were inscribed with information such as flow rates, the date of measurement, and the names of the officials responsible for the readings. For more permanent records, the use of stone inscriptions became common. These inscriptions often served both practical and commemorative purposes, detailing the accomplishments of the engineers and magistrates involved in the construction and maintenance of aqueducts. The meticulous nature of these records reflects the Romans' desire for accountability and transparency in water management. In addition to physical records, oral traditions also played a role in the transmission of knowledge regarding water flow measurement. Local communities often relied on experienced water masters to convey information about flow rates and maintenance practices. This reliance on oral history, however, posed its own challenges, as the accuracy of information could diminish over time without the support of written documentation. The evolution of record-keeping practices paralleled advancements in measurement techniques. As the sophistication of measurement devices improved, so too did the methods for documenting their use. By the time of the early empire, standardized forms for recording water flow measurements had emerged, allowing for greater consistency in data collection across the empire. In conclusion, the history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols reveals a rich and intricate tapestry of practices shaped by regional variations, bureaucratic regulations, logistical challenges, and the evolution of record-keeping methods. These mundane yet essential aspects of water management speak to the ingenuity and complexity of Roman engineering and governance, reflecting a society deeply committed to the equitable distribution of one of its most vital resources. The continuous striving for accuracy, efficiency, and accountability in water flow measurement protocols ultimately laid the groundwork for future generations to build upon, ensuring that the legacy of Roman aqueducts would endure through the ages. The tedious history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols, Part 7. Regional variations and comparisons. The Roman Empire, in its vast territorial expanse, exhibited a remarkable array of regional variations in the protocols employed for measuring water flow in aqueduct systems. These variations were influenced by a combination of geographical, climatic, and socio-political factors. For instance, the aqueducts of the Mediterranean regions, where the climate was predominantly arid, necessitated precise measurement methodologies to optimize the limited water supply. Conversely, in the more temperate northern provinces, such as Gaul, the abundance of rainfall allowed for a somewhat less stringent approach to flow measurement, albeit still rooted in the overarching principles established by their Roman predecessors. In the arid regions, particularly in the provinces of Judea and Egypt, the Romans developed sophisticated mechanisms, such as the use of water clocks, clepsydra, to gauge flow rates accurately. These devices relied on the steady dripping of water through a calibrated orifice, with markings to indicate the passage of time and volume. The implications of such precision were manifold, extending not merely to the equitable distribution of water for agricultural and urban purposes but also to the maintenance of public order, as disputes over water rights were common and often contentious. In contrast, the regions characterized by lush topographies, such as the valleys of the Po River in northern Italy, exhibited a different set of challenges. Here, the Romans favored simpler, less elaborate structures for measuring flow, such as the use of weirs and flumes. These rudimentary constructs allowed for the observation of water levels rather than precise volumetric measurements. The rationale behind this approach stemmed from the abundance of water, which diminished the urgency for meticulous measurement protocols. However, even in these regions, the Romans were not entirely neglectful of the principles established in the more arid territories. Rather, adaptations were made that reflected local conditions while still adhering to the fundamental Roman ethos of efficiency and control. Evolution over different time periods. The evolution of aqueduct water flow measurement protocols is marked by distinct phases that correspond to broader developments in Roman engineering, governance, and societal needs. During the early Republic, the emphasis was predominantly on construction techniques and the establishment of basic measurement standards. The earliest aqueducts, such as the Aqua Appia, 312 BC, were simple in design and functioned primarily to convey water from source to urban center without sophisticated measurement apparatus. As the Republic transitioned into the Empire, particularly during the Julio-Claudian period, engineering advancements began to proliferate, and with them, a gradual refinement in measurement techniques emerged. This era saw the introduction of more complex flow measurement devices, such as the aforementioned clepsydra, which began to be integrated into the administration of water distribution in urban centers. The bureaucratic apparatus expanded, necessitating more detailed records and systematic methodologies for ensuring that water allocation adhered to imperial standards. By the late Empire, particularly during the 3rd and 4th centuries AD, the protocols for water flow measurement had become increasingly sophisticated, reflecting the complex socio-economic dynamics of the time. With urban populations swelling and demands for water reaching unprecedented levels, the Romans were compelled to address issues of equity and sustainability. This period witnessed the establishment of more formalized regulations, with laws dictating the precise responsibilities of water magistrates, the use of flow measurement devices, and the rigorous record-keeping processes that would ensure compliance with established protocols. Bureaucratic regulations and laws. The integration of bureaucratic regulations into the management of aqueducts and water flow measurement protocols is a testament to the Romans' recognition of water as a vital public resource. Legal frameworks were established to guide the administration of water systems, ensuring that the flow measurements not only served technical purposes but also reinforced social order and equity. One notable regulation was the Lex Aquilia, enacted in the late Republic, which addressed issues of accountability and compensation in cases of water misallocation or damage. This legal framework mandated that water magistrates, or curators aquarum, maintain accurate records of water flow measurements to avoid disputes and facilitate legal recourse in instances of inequity. The enforcement of such laws required extensive documentation, which in turn led to the development of standardized methods for measuring and recording water flow. Moreover, the Codex Theodosianus, compiled in the 5th century AD, further codified existing regulations concerning aqueduct management. This compilation served as an essential reference for municipal authorities, delineating the roles and responsibilities of water officials, the penalties for infractions, and the procedures for resolving disputes related to water rights. The bureaucratic nature of these regulations reflects a broader trend in Roman governance, an embodiment of the belief that efficiency in public works was tantamount to stability and societal cohesion. Supply chain and logistics. The logistical framework surrounding aqueduct water flow measurement protocols deserves meticulous examination, as it involved a complex interplay of engineering, administrative oversight, and community engagement. Water, being a perishable and vital resource, necessitated a comprehensive supply chain that extended from the source springs through the aqueduct systems to the end users. This supply chain was not merely about the physical transportation of water, it also encompassed the measurement and regulation of flow to ensure that the needs of various stakeholders were met. At the heart of this logistical framework were the curators aquarum, who were tasked with overseeing the operation of aqueducts and ensuring that flow measurements were conducted regularly and accurately. These officials were responsible for the maintenance of measurement devices, the calibration of flow meters, and the documentation of water levels. They often operated in tandem with local communities, as the effective management of water resources required cooperation and communication between the authorities and the populace. The supply chain was further complicated by the seasonal variations in water availability, influenced by rainfall and drought patterns. This necessitated adaptive strategies for measuring flow, as well as contingency plans for distributing water during periods of scarcity. In regions prone to drought, the Romans often established reservoir systems that allowed for the storage of excess water during wetter months, thereby employing a logistical strategy that ensured a consistent supply throughout the year. Moreover, the interconnectivity of aqueducts across vast distances necessitated a coordinated approach to logistics. Water flow measurement protocols had to account for the varying topographies and climatic conditions encountered along the aqueduct's routes. For instance, in mountainous regions, the gradient of the aqueduct influenced both flow speed and measurement accuracy. Engineers had to consider both hydraulic principles and geographical realities to ensure that measurements remained reliable throughout the entire system. Record-keeping methods. The methods employed for record-keeping within the context of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols reveal much about the administrative culture of the empire. The Romans were renowned for their bureaucratic efficiency, and this extended to the meticulous documentation of water measurements, which was critical for effective governance and resource management. Records were typically maintained in the form of wax tablets, parchment scrolls, or inscriptions on stone. These materials served as enduring repositories of information, capturing the details of flow measurements, maintenance schedules, and distribution logs. The use of wax tablets, for instance, allowed for a degree of flexibility, as they could be easily erased and reused, making them ideal for recording transient data such as daily flow rates. In contrast, stone inscriptions served as permanent records, often detailing significant measurements or milestones in aqueduct management that could be referenced by future generations. The organization of these records was equally crucial. Water officials employed systematic coding and categorization methods to facilitate easy retrieval and cross-referencing of data. Tables of flow rates, for example, would be organized chronologically, allowing for a clear understanding of how water availability fluctuated over time. This level of detail was not only vital for immediate operational needs but also for long-term planning and policy formulation. In addition to routine records, the Romans also maintained registers of legal disputes related to water rights, documenting the outcomes of adjudications and the basis for decisions made by water magistrates. This practice underscored the intersection of technical measurement and legal governance, highlighting the importance of accurate data in resolving conflicts over resource allocation. In summary, the record-keeping methods employed by the Romans in relation to aqueduct water flow measurement protocols reveal a sophisticated bureaucratic system that was essential for the effective management of water resources. The attention to detail and the systematic approach to documentation served not only to enhance operational efficiency but also to reinforce the social order in a society where water was a critical lifeline. In conclusion, the history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols is a multifaceted narrative interwoven with regional variations, evolving methodologies, bureaucratic regulations, logistical challenges, and meticulous record-keeping practices. This expansive framework reveals the Romans' profound understanding of the necessity for precise measurement and equitable distribution of water, a testament to their engineering prowess and administrative acumen. Such intricate systems, though often overlooked in favor of grander historical narratives, reflect the underlying principles of governance and resource management that sustained one of history's most enduring civilizations. The intricate history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols extends beyond mere technical specifications. As we delve into regional variations and comparisons, we can observe the nuances that characterize the approaches taken in different parts of the Roman Empire. Each region, influenced by its unique geographic and climatic conditions, established protocols that reflected local needs and engineering capacities. Regional variations and comparisons. In the arid regions of North Africa, for instance, the Romans faced significant challenges due to limited water resources. Here, aqueducts such as the Aqua Alexandrina were designed with a keen focus on maximizing efficiency in water conveyance. The flow measurement techniques employed in this region often emphasize the use of sluice gates and weirs to monitor water levels and flow rates, a method necessitated by the scarcity of water. Engineers deployed a system of calibrated wooden flumes, which allowed for the estimation of flow through measured cross-sections. The meticulous attention to detail in constructing these wooden structures, often lined with clay to reduce leakage, underscores the Roman commitment to effective water management in challenging environments. In contrast, the verdant regions of Gaul, where rainfall was more abundant, adopted less stringent measurement protocols. Here, the aqueducts, such as the famous Aqua Claudia, utilized larger conduits that often incorporated gravitational flow principles. The focus was less on precise measurement and more on the distribution of water across a wider area. Flow measurement in these regions sometimes relied on simple visual assessments of flow through open channels, with engineers noting changes in water levels via rudimentary markers along the banks. The regional abundance of water allowed for a more cavalier approach to measurement, as surpluses often mitigated concerns regarding precise quantification. As we navigate through the various provinces of the empire, we notice that the Romans also adapted measurement techniques to the cultural context of each region. In the eastern provinces, where Greek influences were pronounced, the adoption of sophisticated hydraulic engineering techniques was commonplace. The use of water clocks, or clepsydra, became integrated into the measurement of flow, reflecting a blend of Greek and Roman traditions. These devices not only served the practical purpose of measuring water flow but also symbolized the intellectual sophistication of Roman engineering. Evolution over different time periods. The evolution of water flow measurement protocols can be traced through several distinct periods of Roman history. In the early Republic, engineering practices were rudimentary, often relying on empirical methods and local knowledge. The initial aqueducts constructed during this time, such as the Aqua Appia, were primarily designed for functionality rather than precision. Flow measurement was conducted informally, with engineers relying on experience and observation to gauge water levels and flow rates. However, as the Roman Empire expanded and became more centralized, a shift occurred toward a more standardized approach. The introduction of detailed engineering manuals, such as those attributed to Vitruvius in the 1st century BCE, marked a significant milestone. These texts provided guidelines for aqueduct construction and measurement, standardizing practices across regions. The emphasis on mathematical calculations and geometric principles in flow measurement reflected a growing understanding of hydraulics and the need for consistency in water management. By the time of the late Empire, the bureaucratic apparatus surrounding aqueduct management had become highly sophisticated. The establishment of the curators aquarum, officials responsible for overseeing water supply and aqueduct maintenance, led to the formalization of measurement protocols. The use of standardized units of measurement, such as the Roman foot, became commonplace, allowing for greater accuracy in flow measurement across the vast expanse of the empire. Bureaucratic regulations and laws. The establishment of bureaucratic regulations surrounding aqueduct water flow measurement cannot be overstated. The Romans understood that effective water management was crucial for both public health and urban development. Consequently, a plethora of laws and regulations emerged to govern the construction, maintenance, and measurement of aqueducts. One of the earliest pieces of legislation was the Lex Aelia de Aqueductibus, enacted during the reign of Augustus. This law outlined the responsibilities of local governments in ensuring the proper functioning of aqueducts and mandated regular inspections to assess water flow. The law also established penalties for negligence, underscoring the critical nature of water management in Roman society. The meticulous record-keeping required by these regulations ensured that officials maintained accurate accounts of water sources, flow rates, and maintenance schedules. In addition to national laws, regional authorities often enacted their own regulations to address local concerns. For example, in regions prone to drought, specific laws were established to prioritize water distribution during times of scarcity. These regulations often included stipulations regarding the measurement of flow to ensure equitable distribution among users. The bureaucratic machinery behind these laws necessitated the training of officials in measurement techniques, further emphasizing the importance of precision in water management. Supply chain and logistics. The logistics of water supply within the Roman aqueduct system were as complex as they were vital. The movement of water from distant sources to urban centers required careful planning and coordination. Aqueducts were often engineered to traverse challenging terrain, necessitating the construction of bridges, tunnels, and siphons to maintain a consistent flow. The supply chain for water also extended to the materials used in aqueduct construction. Roman engineers relied on a variety of materials, including stone, brick, and mortar, each selected for its durability and suitability to local conditions. The sourcing of these materials necessitated a well-organized logistics network, involving quarrying, transportation, and assembly. The use of local materials not only reduced transportation costs but also allowed for adaptability to regional geological conditions. The movement of water itself was subject to logistical considerations. Flow measurement techniques played a crucial role in determining the capacity of aqueducts to deliver sufficient water to urban centers. Engineers often established flow rate benchmarks based on expected demand, allowing for the calculation of necessary conduit dimensions. The integration of flow measurement into the planning process ensured that aqueducts could meet the needs of growing populations, reflecting the Romans' keen awareness of the interplay between water supply and urban development. Record-keeping methods. The significance of meticulous record-keeping in Roman aqueduct water flow measurement cannot be overstated. The Romans developed sophisticated methods for documenting flow rates, maintenance schedules, and inspection results. Such records were essential not only for ensuring the proper functioning of aqueducts but also for facilitating bureaucratic accountability. One common method of record keeping involved the use of inscribed stone tablets. These tablets served as permanent records of flow measurements, maintenance activities, and any alterations made to the aqueduct system. The inscriptions often included detailed diagrams and annotations, illustrating the specific locations of measurement points and the methodologies employed. This practice ensured that future engineers and officials could easily reference past measurements and decisions. Additionally, the Romans utilized a form of bureaucratic documentation known as the codex. These bound volumes, often made from papyrus or parchment, contain detailed accounts of aqueduct operations. The codices included everything from flow measurements to notes on water quality, allowing for a comprehensive overview of the aqueduct's performance over time. The organization of these records was meticulous, often categorized by region and aqueduct, reflecting a culture that valued precision and thoroughness. The implementation of such record-keeping methods created a robust framework for evaluating the effectiveness of water flow measurement protocols. Regular audits and inspections were conducted to ensure compliance with established standards, and any discrepancies were recorded for further investigation. The emphasis on documentation not only facilitated governance but also fostered a culture of accountability among engineers and officials. In conclusion, the tedious history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols is marked by regional variations, evolving practices, bureaucratic regulations, logistical considerations, and meticulous record keeping. Each aspect of this history reflects the Romans' profound understanding of the importance of water management in sustaining urban life and promoting public health. The intricate web of measurement protocols, while seemingly mundane, underscores the ingenuity and organizational prowess of a civilization that continues to captivate our collective imagination. The tedious history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols. Part 9, Regional Variations and Comparisons. The Roman Empire, with its vast expanse stretching from the windswept plains of Britain to the sun-drenched coasts of North Africa, exhibited notable regional variations in the methodologies employed for measuring water flow in its aqueduct systems. These differences were largely influenced by local geography, climate, and cultural practices, leading to a rich tapestry of practices that, while ostensibly similar, varied in their execution and rationale. In the verdant valleys of the Italian peninsula, where resources were relatively abundant, measurement protocols generally adhered to a more standardized approach. Here, the Romans developed the cisternas and cuniculi systems, which facilitated not only the transport of water but also its measurement via calibrated channels. The cuniculi, which were narrow, underground conduits, often included graduated markings that allowed for a rudimentary assessment of flow rates. This system contrasted sharply with the practices in arid regions, such as the provinces of Judea and Egypt, where water was a scarce commodity and the measurement protocols were adapted accordingly. In Judea, the aqueducts often relied on natural topography. The use of geometric surveying allowed engineers to calculate gradients and flows, employing techniques that were rudimentary yet surprisingly effective given the limitations of the tools available at the time. The measurement of flow was often performed using simple devices known as hydrometers, which, although less sophisticated than modern instruments, provided a basic understanding of water volumes. Conversely, in the North African provinces, the aqueduct systems had to contend with the challenges posed by severe droughts and seasonal fluctuations in water availability. Here, the Romans implemented more sophisticated systems of measurement, including the use of water clocks and buckets of known volume that could be timed as they filled. These methods, while somewhat cumbersome, allowed for a reliable assessment of supply rates, ensuring that even the most parched regions received their due share of water. Part 10: Evolution over different time periods. The evolution of water flow measurement protocols within the Roman aqueduct system reflects a broader trajectory of technological and methodological advancement throughout the empire's history. The early days of Roman aqueduct building, characterized by a reliance on rudimentary methods and basic observational techniques, gradually gave way to more sophisticated instruments and practices as the empire expanded and urbanized. During the Republic, 509 to 27 BCE, water measurement was predominantly a matter of local importance, with each municipality developing its own protocols based on immediate needs and available resources. The introduction of the aqueduct law during this period emphasized the need for accurate measurements, primarily for taxation purposes, but the methods remained largely unstandardized. The transition to the imperial period, 27 BCE, 476 CE, heralded a significant shift in the approach to water flow measurement. The establishment of dedicated water management offices, such as the Curator's Aquarum, underscored the Roman commitment to efficient resource management. The protocols became more formalized, with systematic training for engineers and surveyors who were tasked with ensuring that water was evenly distributed across the empire. This period saw the introduction of more advanced mathematical concepts, such as hydraulics, which allowed for the development of more precise measurement devices. By the late Empire, the challenges of maintaining these vast aqueduct systems led to an increased focus on documentation and regulation. The use of standardized units of measurement, such as the as and libra, became more prevalent, reflecting a need for consistency across regions. Additionally, the establishment of regulations concerning the construction and maintenance of aqueducts meant that measurement protocols had to adapt to accommodate bureaucratic oversight, leading to a more structured approach overall. Part 11: Bureaucratic Regulations and Laws. The bureaucratic landscape surrounding Roman aqueduct water flow measurement was complex and multifaceted, with a variety of laws and regulations governing every aspect of water management. The Lex Aquaria, a series of laws enacted during the Republic, provided an essential legal framework for the measurement and distribution of water. These laws stipulated that water must be measured at various intervals, ensuring that each region received an equitable allocation based on its needs and resources. One notable regulation was the requirement for public documentation of water measurements. This documentation, often inscribed on stone tablets or maintained in scrolls, served multiple purposes. It provided transparency in water distribution, ensured compliance with legal standards, and facilitated the resolution of disputes over water rights. The meticulous record-keeping required by these laws, while often tedious, played a crucial role in maintaining social order and preventing conflicts over water access. As the empire expanded, the complexity of these regulations increased. The curators aquarum, appointed officials responsible for overseeing water management, wielded considerable power, and their decisions often had far-reaching implications for local communities. They were tasked with not only measuring water flow but also enforcing regulations related to construction and maintenance of aqueducts, ensuring that the systems remained functional and efficient. Moreover, the regulations surrounding flow measurement were often influenced by local customs and practices. For instance, in regions where water was particularly scarce, special provisions might be enacted to prioritize certain uses, such as agricultural needs over recreational uses. This adaptability within the bureaucratic framework highlights the Romans' ability to balance the demands of governance with the practical realities of resource management. Part 12: Supply Chain and Logistics. The logistics of water supply and distribution within the Roman aqueduct system was an intricate web that required careful planning and execution. The supply chain for water was, in many respects, analogous to that of goods. It involved the sourcing of water from various sources, the construction and maintenance of transportation infrastructure, and the delivery of water to end users. Key to the logistics of the aqueduct system was the identification of reliable water sources, which often involved extensive surveying and geological analysis. Regions with abundant springs or rivers were prioritized for aqueduct construction, while less reliable sources were approached with caution. The establishment of water catchments and reservoirs was common practice, allowing for the storage of water during periods of excess, thereby ensuring a stable supply even during dry seasons. Once sourced, the water needed to be transported through a network of aqueducts, which varied in their construction techniques depending on local materials and terrain. The logistics of construction were significant, often requiring the coordinated efforts of skilled laborers, engineers, and local officials. The transportation of materials, such as stone and clay for pipe construction, posed additional challenges, as did the maintenance of the aqueducts themselves. Regular inspections were mandated, ensuring that blockages or leaks were promptly addressed to prevent disruptions in supply. The delivery of water to its final destination introduced another layer of complexity. Water was typically channeled into public fountains, baths, and private homes through a system of branching conduits. The measurement of flow at these distribution points was crucial, as it allowed for the equitable distribution of water among users. This often involved the installation of simple flow measurement devices, such as weirs and flumes, which enabled overseers to gauge the volume of water being supplied to each outlet. Part 13: Record-Keeping Methods. Record-keeping in the context of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols was a fundamental aspect of the overall management strategy, ensuring accountability and transparency in water distribution. The methods employed for maintaining records were influenced by the technological innovations of the era, as well as the bureaucratic demands of an expanding empire. In the earlier phases of Roman aqueduct development, record-keeping primarily took the form of oral traditions and basic written notations on wax tablets. These tablets, while practical for the time, were prone to deterioration and loss. As the empire advanced, the introduction of more durable materials, such as stone and parchment, allowed for the preservation of records over longer periods. Stone inscriptions, in particular, became a favored method for documenting important measurements and regulations, as they provided a permanent record that could be easily referenced by future generations. The introduction of standardized forms for record keeping was another significant advancement. By the late Republic and early Empire, specific templates for documenting water measurements became commonplace. These forms typically included fields for date, location, volume measured, and the name of the official responsible for the measurement. This standardization facilitated the comparison of records across different regions, allowing for a more cohesive understanding of water distribution patterns throughout the empire. The significance of accurate record keeping extended beyond mere compliance with regulations. It played a crucial role in resource allocation and conflict resolution. Disputes over water rights were common, and detailed records provided essential evidence in legal proceedings. The ability to demonstrate a history of water usage, complete with precise measurements, often proved decisive in determining ownership and usage rights. In conclusion, while the Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols may initially appear to be a dry subject, delving into the intricacies of regional variations, historical evolution, bureaucratic regulations, logistical challenges, and record-keeping methods reveals a rich and complex narrative. This narrative underscores the sophistication of Roman engineering and governance, as well as the essential role that water management played in maintaining the stability and functionality of one of history's greatest empires. The tedious history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols, Part 10. In the expansive realm of Roman engineering, the aqueduct system stands as a testament to the ingenuity and meticulousness of Roman civilization. However, the protocols for measuring water flow in these monumental structures were not uniform across the vast territories of the empire. The regional variations in water flow measurement protocols, evolving over different time periods, were intricately woven into the fabric of local governance and bureaucratic regulations. This portion of our exploration endeavors to peel back the layers of this complex tapestry, revealing the nuances of regional practices, the evolution of technologies and methodologies, the bureaucratic frameworks that govern these practices, the logistics of water supply chains, and the record-keeping methods employed by Roman authorities. Regional variations and comparisons. The Roman Empire, at its zenith, spanned a multitude of geographical and cultural landscapes, each with its own unique challenges and resources that influenced aqueduct construction and maintenance. For instance, in the arid regions of North Africa, such as the provinces of Numidia and Mauritania, water scarcity necessitated a heightened emphasis on efficient water flow measurement. Here, engineers employed primitive devices made from locally sourced materials to gauge flow rates, often relying on rudimentary orifice meters fashioned from clay or stone, calibrated by local artisans. Conversely, in the lush, temperate climate of the Italian peninsula, where water was more abundant, the Romans utilized more sophisticated methods. The famed Aqua Appia, one of the earliest aqueducts constructed in 312 BCE, employed a system of settling tanks and weirs to measure and regulate water flow. The flow rate was often assessed using a combination of flow measurement weirs and flow control gates, which allowed for precise adjustments depending on seasonal variations, rainfall, and demand. Comparative studies of these regional practices reveal that the local topography and climate were pivotal factors in determining measurement protocols. In mountainous regions, such as the provinces of Hispania, engineers devised ingenious methods to adapt to steep gradients, utilizing the natural slope to create fall measurement units termed cubic meters per second. In contrast, flatter regions required extensive channel systems and sluices that acted as both measurement tools and flow regulators. This diversity underscores the adaptability of Roman engineering practices to local conditions, highlighting a remarkable understanding of hydrodynamics and resource management. Evolution over different time periods. The evolution of water flow measurement protocols in Roman aqueducts can be delineated into several key phases, reflecting technological advancements and shifts in administrative focus. In the early Republic, 509 to 27 BCE, aqueduct systems were rudimentary, with basic measurement techniques primarily utilized for maintenance and distribution purposes. The emphasis was placed on the construction of aqueducts themselves rather than sophisticated measurement methodologies. As the empire expanded during the late Republic and into the imperial period, 27 BCE, 476 CE, the need for more efficient management of water resources became apparent. The introduction of standardized measurement units, such as the modius for volumetric measurement, allowed for a more systematic approach to water distribution. During this time, engineers and surveyors began to collaborate closely, leading to the development of more sophisticated hydraulic instruments, including the water clock known as the clepsydra, which was utilized to measure the rate of water flow over time. These innovations marked a significant advancement in ensuring equitable water distribution across urban centers and rural areas alike. By the late imperial period, particularly during the reign of Emperor Hadrian, 117 to 138 CE, the focus shifted towards the regulation of water supply as a public necessity. This period saw the emergence of formal bureaucratic structures dedicated to water management, resulting in the codification of measurement protocols. The establishment of water boards, comprised of engineers and local magistrates, became commonplace, and detailed records of water flow rates were maintained, often inscribed on stone tablets or wax tablets. This bureaucratic evolution reflected a growing recognition of water as a critical resource that required meticulous oversight. Bureaucratic regulations and laws. The bureaucratic framework surrounding aqueduct water flow measurement was deeply intertwined with the Roman legal system. The Lex Aquilia, a law enacted in the 3rd century BCE, laid the groundwork for regulations concerning water rights and flow measurement. This legislation established guidelines for disputes over water usage, outlining penalties for misuse and over-extraction. Such legal frameworks were essential in fostering cooperation among various stakeholders, including local farmers, urban dwellers, and government officials. In addition to the Lex Aquilia, the establishment of the Cura Aquarum, a municipal office responsible for overseeing water supply and maintenance, was a pivotal development. This office was tasked with not only ensuring the proper measurement of water flow but also addressing issues related to public health and sanitation. The regulations enforced by the Cura Aquarum often included specifications for the construction and maintenance of measurement apparatuses, ensuring consistency across different regions. Furthermore, the edicts issued by emperors, particularly in response to specific crises or shortages, often included directives on water flow measurement. For example, during droughts or water shortages, emperors would issue decrees mandating the measurement of flow rates to ensure equitable distribution among citizens. Such regulations were vital in maintaining public order and preventing civil unrest, underscoring the political significance of effective water management. Supply chain and logistics. The logistics of water supply and the corresponding measurement of flow were not merely technical matters, they were also deeply entwined with the economic and social fabric of Roman society. The aqueducts served as arteries of urban life, delivering water to baths, fountains, and public latrines, but the logistics of maintaining these systems required careful planning and coordination. The construction and maintenance of aqueducts were often funded through a combination of public funds, private investments, and taxation. The measurement of water flow was integral to this economic model, as it directly influenced the allocation of resources. Accurate flow measurements were essential for determining taxation rates on water usage, which varied between urban and rural populations. In urban centers, where water was treated as a public good, the flow was often measured and recorded to ensure fair taxation, thereby influencing local economies. In addition to financial considerations, the physical logistics of transporting materials for aqueduct construction and maintenance were complex. Engineers and laborers had to coordinate the movement of stone, clay, and other resources, often traveling great distances to acquire quality materials. Measurement protocols were closely tied to this supply chain, as the flow rates dictated the design and scale of aqueduct systems, influencing how quickly water could be moved and delivered to where it was needed most. Record-keeping methods. The methods employed for record-keeping regarding water flow measurement varied widely across different regions and periods. In the early stages of aqueduct development, records were often maintained in informal formats, such as oral traditions or simple marks in the sand. However, as the bureaucratic structures evolved, so too did the sophistication of record-keeping methods. The use of inscribed stone tablets became a common practice, especially for recording flow measurements and maintenance schedules. These tablets were often placed at strategic points along the aqueducts, serving not only as official records but also as public notices for the local populace. In urban settings, municipal archives emerged, where detailed records of water flow rates, maintenance activities, and disputes were meticulously catalogued. The Romans employed a standardized system of symbols and abbreviations to facilitate efficient record-keeping, illustrating their commitment to administrative precision. In addition to stone tablets, wax tablets were extensively used for day-to-day record-keeping. These portable writing surfaces allowed engineers and local officials to document measurements and observations in real time, providing a dynamic record of water flow that could be updated as needed. The wax tablets were particularly useful in remote areas where formal stone inscriptions were impractical. Overall, the evolution of record-keeping methods mirrored the growing complexity of water management in the Roman Empire. The integration of written records into the bureaucratic framework facilitated greater accountability and transparency in water flow measurement, cementing the crucial role of documentation in effective governance. In conclusion, the history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols is a labyrinthine journey through regional practices, technological evolution, bureaucratic regulation, logistical challenges, and record-keeping intricacies. The meticulous attention to detail and the adaptability of Roman engineers to local conditions underscore the empire's commitment to efficient water management. These seemingly mundane aspects of aqueduct operation were critical not only for the functionality of urban centers but also for the very survival of the Roman Empire itself. As we continue to unravel this tedious history, we find that the measurement of water flow was far more than a technical endeavor. It was a reflection of the values and priorities of a civilization that understood the profound importance of water as a vital resource for its people. The history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement is a veritable tapestry woven with intricate threads of engineering ingenuity, bureaucratic protocols, and the persistent quest for efficiency. To explore this subject thoroughly, one must delve into the minutiae of historical figures, case studies, comparative analyses, archaeological findings, and the rich tapestry of primary sources that, while fictionalized, could plausibly exist in the annals of Roman history. Minor historical figures and their roles. While figures such as Vitruvius and Augustus often dominate the discourse around Roman engineering, a plethora of lesser-known individuals played critical roles in the development of water measurement protocols. One such figure is Gaius Plinius Minor, a relatively obscure engineer from the late 1st century CE, who authored a lesser-known treatise titled De Aquis. In this text, Plinius discusses the importance of maintaining consistent flow rates to prevent flooding in urban areas, an issue that plagued many Roman cities. Plinius proposed a series of channels, known as canales, to divert excess water during heavy rains. He suggested that these channels be equipped with rudimentary flow measurement devices resembling modern weirs. His writings, while not widely circulated during his lifetime, would later influence the practices of aqueduct engineers in the 2nd and 3rd centuries CE. In addition to Plinius, another figure of note is Marcus Vipsanius Agrippa, a close associate of Augustus. Agrippa's influence on aqueduct construction in Rome cannot be overstated. He is credited with the design of the Aqua Marcia, which was completed in 144 BCE. Although primarily remembered for his architectural and military contributions, Agrippa's role in standardizing water flow measurements is often overlooked. He instituted a system of sippi, or milestones, placed at regular intervals along the aqueducts to denote flow measurement points. These sippi were inscribed with the volume of water expected to flow at various times of the year, thus creating a rudimentary but effective system for monitoring water levels. Specific case studies with dates. One of the most illustrative case studies in Roman water measurement protocols can be found in the Aqua Claudia, commissioned by Emperor Claudius in 38 CE. This aqueduct was renowned not only for its engineering excellence but also for the meticulous protocols implemented to measure and regulate its flow. The Aqua Claudia was equipped with a series of exedrae, or chambers, where water was collected and measured before being distributed to various parts of Rome. Documented in the Commentarii de Aqua Claudia, a fictionalized account attributed to a Roman bureaucrat named Tiberius Flavius, the protocols outline specific methods of measuring water flow through the use of calibrated containers. Flavius noted, "In times of great demand, we must ensure that the flow remains steady, lest the citizens be deprived of their share of the life-giving elixir." His observations highlight the bureaucratic necessity of accurate measurements and the consequences of failing to adhere to these protocols. Another noteworthy case is the Aqua Traiana, completed in 109 CE under Emperor Trajan. This aqueduct was notable for its innovative use of a cuneus, or wedge-shaped structure, to create a variable flow rate depending on the demand from various districts. The engineers responsible for the Aqua Traiana developed a series of flow measurement tools that utilized a variation of the Archimedean screw, allowing them to adjust the water output based on the time of day and seasonal fluctuations. The inscriptions found near the aqueduct indicate that these measurements were recorded and reviewed quarterly, illustrating the Romans' commitment to precision. Comparative analysis with other regions. To understand the Roman approach to water flow measurement, it is crucial to compare it with contemporary practices in other ancient civilizations. The aqueduct systems of ancient Persia, for example, employed a different methodology. The Persians used a system known as Qanat, whereby water was transported through underground tunnels. The measurement of flow was based on the surface area of the openings in the Qanat, which were often subject to seasonal changes due to evaporation and sedimentation. In contrast, the Romans relied heavily on open-air aqueducts, which allowed for more direct observation and measurement of water levels. This difference in approach can be attributed to the geographical and climatic conditions of the regions in which these civilizations operated. While the arid landscapes of Persia necessitated subterranean systems to minimize water loss, the Mediterranean climate of Italy allowed for more open constructions. The Romans also implemented more rigorous bureaucratic oversight over their water systems compared to their Persian counterparts. In Rome, the curators aquarum, or water commissioners, were appointed to oversee the aqueducts and ensure compliance with measurement protocols. This level of institutional oversight was largely absent in Persian systems, where local leaders held sway over water management without central regulation. Archaeological findings and interpretations. Archaeological excavations across the Roman Empire have unearthed a wealth of artifacts and structures related to water flow measurement. One particularly significant site is the remains of a reservoir discovered near the Aqua Appia in Rome. This reservoir, dating back to the 4th century BCE, contained a series of stone markers that indicated different water levels, suggesting that even in the early days of Roman aqueducts, there was an understanding of the need for flow measurement. In addition to physical structures, inscriptions found at various aqueduct sites reveal insights into the measurement protocols used by Roman engineers. For example, a fragmentary inscription from the Aqua Alciatina, dating to the late 1st century BCE, reads, "The waters shall flow in measured abundance, those who tamper with the flow shall face the wrath of the gods." This inscription not only underscores the importance of measurement but also reflects the cultural beliefs surrounding water as a divine gift, further emphasizing the need for careful management. Moreover, the discovery of ancient flow measurement devices resembling modern flow meters has provided further evidence of Roman ingenuity in water management. These devices, often made of bronze and inscribed with measurement units, were found in various locations and suggest that the Romans possessed a sophisticated understanding of hydraulics and flow dynamics long before the advent of modern engineering principles. Primary source quotations, invented but plausible. To encapsulate the essence of Roman thoughts on water flow measurement, one might imagine the writings of an engineer from the 1st century CE, perhaps a fictional character named Lucius Varro. In his treatise De Aquarum Mensura, he might have written, "The flow of water is not merely a matter of necessity, it is a reflection of the order of the universe. To measure it is to understand the very essence of life itself." Another quote from a fictional aqueduct commissioner, Tiberius Galerius, could read, "We are but stewards of the waters that flow through our city. It is our duty to ensure their passage is measured, for in measurement lies the promise of abundance, and in abundance the prosperity of our people." These invented quotations, while not historically accurate, serve to illustrate the Roman ethos surrounding water management and the cultural significance attributed to their engineering practices. Conclusion. In conclusion, the history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols is a complex interplay of engineering, bureaucracy, and cultural significance. The contributions of minor historical figures, specific case studies, comparative analyses with other regions, archaeological findings, and the imagined voices of primary sources all serve to illuminate the nuanced and often intricate practices that sustain the water supply of one of history's greatest civilizations. As we navigate through the dense chronicles of Roman engineering, it becomes apparent that the measurement of water flow was not merely a technical endeavor but a fundamental aspect of governance, urban planning, and societal well-being. The protocols developed by the Romans, while perhaps mundane to the modern reader, laid the groundwork for future advancements in hydraulic engineering and continue to resonate in contemporary practices. In an era where water scarcity remains a pressing global concern, the lessons gleaned from the Roman approach to water measurement serve as a reminder of the enduring importance of meticulous management and the need for sustainable practices. The legacy of Roman aqueducts, both in their grandeur and their operational protocols, stands as a testament to the ingenuity of a civilization that understood the vital role of water in the fabric of urban life. Thus, the meticulous attention given to water flow measurement protocols in the Roman era, though seemingly dry and technical, reveals a rich tapestry of cultural, political, and technological threads that wove together to create one of the most enduring legacies in human history. The history of water flow measurement protocols in ancient Roman aqueducts is not only a testament to Roman engineering prowess but also a reflection of a systematic approach to resource management that has ramifications even in contemporary times. While the grandeur of major figures such as Vitruvius and Frontinus often overshadows the contributions of lesser-known individuals, it is essential to acknowledge how these minor historical figures and their efforts helped shape the intricate mechanisms of water flow measurement. One such figure, M. Aurelius Didius, served as a local engineer during the reign of Emperor Nero. While his name is seldom mentioned in mainstream historical discourse, Didius made significant improvements in the monitoring of water flow in the Aqua Claudia, one of the most celebrated aqueducts of the time. His methodologies involved the use of rudimentary gauges made from calibrated wooden troughs that could measure the volume of water flowing per hour. This was a groundbreaking approach in ensuring that the distribution of water was equitable among the various public fountains, baths, and private residences. Didius's work culminated in the year 60 CE, when he presented his findings to the Senate, highlighting the importance of maintaining flow rates to prevent shortages during dry seasons. Another pivotal, albeit underappreciated, figure was L. Cornelius Balbus, who played a crucial role in the construction of the Aqua Marcia, which was completed in 144 BCE. Balbus was instrumental in developing a series of weirs and overflow systems designed to regulate water flow and measure the volume of water reaching the city. The devices he designed included a series of notched weirs, which allowed engineers to calculate flow rates based on the height of the water spilling over the notches. This innovation not only improved efficiency but also minimized waste, a concern that was increasingly voiced by the populace facing water rationing during peak usage periods. Specific case studies of aqueducts provide further insight into the complexities of water flow measurement protocols. The Aqua Appia, constructed in 312 BCE, is one of the earliest examples of Roman aqueduct engineering. Initial estimates of water flow were rudimentary, relying heavily on visual assessments and rudimentary calculations. However, it wasn't until the late 1st century BCE that more sophisticated methodologies were established. By that time, engineers had developed a system of measuring flow that incorporated the use of calibrated containers, allowing for precise measurement of flow rates over time. Notably, it was during the construction of the Aqua Appia that the concept of using a flow rate coefficient, derived from the shape and size of the aqueduct channel, was first introduced. This would lay the groundwork for future innovations in hydraulic engineering. A comparative analysis of Roman water flow measurement techniques with those of other contemporary civilizations, such as the Greeks and Persians, reveals both similarities and notable differences. The Greeks, for instance, utilized a system of hydrometers to gauge water flow, which involved floating devices that indicated the volume of water passing through a channel. However, their methods lacked the precision that Roman engineers would later achieve. In Persia, engineers developed intricate canets to transport water from underground aquifers to arid regions, but their measurement protocols primarily focused on maintaining water levels rather than quantifying flow rates. The Romans, therefore, emerged as pioneers in developing systematic measurement protocols, which were influential across the Mediterranean basin and beyond. Archaeological findings have significantly contributed to our understanding of Roman aqueducts and their water flow measurement systems. Excavations at the site of the Aqua Annio Vetus, which was completed in 272 BCE, uncovered remnants of flow measurement devices that were remarkably advanced for their time. These artifacts included a series of stone basins with etched markings, presumably used to quantify water levels at different times of the year. The careful calibration of these basins suggests that Roman engineers paid meticulous attention to seasonal variations in water supply, which was essential for ensuring reliable distribution to the city's inhabitants. Moreover, the discovery of the so-called hydraulic tablets in the ruins of a villa in the vicinity of the Aqua Triana has provided further insights into the protocols employed by Roman engineers. These tablets, inscribed with detailed instructions on how to adjust the flow of water based on seasonal needs, represent a sophisticated understanding of hydraulic principles. They highlight the Romans' empirical approach to water management, wherein observations and adjustments were made in response to changing environmental conditions. The existence of these tablets indicates a culture that valued precision and adaptation in the face of fluctuating water availability. Primary sources, albeit fictionalized for illustrative purposes, can enrich our understanding of the mindset surrounding water flow measurement in ancient Rome. A hypothetical quotation from an engineer of the time might read, "In the pursuit of life-sustaining waters, we must embrace the art of measurement, for it is in the careful observation of nature that we shall find the balance between abundance and scarcity." This sentiment captures the essence of Roman engineering philosophy, reflecting a deep respect for the natural world and a commitment to ensuring that its resources were utilized judiciously. In the wake of these advancements, the protocols for measuring water flow began to standardize across various aqueducts throughout the empire. By the 1st century CE, a comprehensive system of measurement was in place, featuring standardized units of volume and flow rates that facilitated trade and commerce. The Roman approach to water flow measurement was not merely a technical endeavor, it was also indicative of a broader societal commitment to public health, urban planning, and resource management. In conclusion, the history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols is a rich tapestry woven with the contributions of many individuals, significant case studies, comparative analyses, and archaeological discoveries. While the giants of Roman engineering often dominate the narrative, it is the collective efforts of minor historical figures and the evolution of measurement techniques that truly illuminate the ingenuity of Roman water management. As we reflect on this intricate history, it is essential to appreciate the profound impact of these protocols on the Roman way of life and their enduring legacy in the modern world. And so, dear listeners, we come to the end of our serene journey through the tedious yet fascinating history of Roman aqueduct water flow measurement protocols. As we explored the intricate designs and innovative methods developed by the ancients, we uncovered not only the technical prowess of the Romans but also the dedication they had to ensuring a steady and reliable water supply for their cities. From the ingenious use of simple tools to the complex calculations that governed the flow of water, we were reminded of the remarkable ingenuity that has shaped our world. We traversed through the ages, witnessing how these early civilizations laid the groundwork for modern engineering and urban planning. Each step of our exploration brought us closer to understanding the pivotal role water played in the growth and prosperity of Rome, and how their meticulous attention to detail provided a lifeline to countless individuals. It is a testament to human perseverance and the quest for knowledge, connecting us across centuries to those who walked the same paths we tread today. As you reflect on this journey, allow the gentle flow of knowledge to soothe your mind. Remember that just as the Romans measured and monitored their aqueducts, you too can measure your own journey towards restful sleep. Embrace the tranquility that comes with letting go of the day's worries. You are safe, you are cared for, and you are deserving of this peaceful time to recharge and rejuvenate. Should you wish to revisit the wonders of our discussion, the gentle cadence of our words is always here for you. Feel free to replay this soothing narrative, allowing the soothing tones to wrap around you like a warm blanket on a cool night. Each listen can serve as a gentle reminder of the beauty in history and the simplicity of water's flow, much like your own breath as you ease into a deep, restorative slumber. As you nestle into your bed, may your thoughts drift like the currents of water flowing through the aqueducts of ancient Rome. May your dreams be filled with serenity and the soft whispers of history, guiding you to a place of comfort and peace. Thank you for joining me on this tranquil exploration. May your night be filled with restful sleep, and may you awaken refreshed and ready to embrace a new day. Good night, dear listeners. Drift away peacefully.